Good evening, everyone, and good morning to everybody watching from Australia. We are here today with the Phantom himself, Josh Piterman. Josh is tuning in from Australia. So if you guys have any questions at all for Josh, make sure to put them down in comments as soon as you can. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can. Now, without further ado, I'd love to introduce Josh. Hello, Josh. Was that your
Hey,
phantom
Julia.
mask?
Yeah, the sort of handheld phantom mask. Um, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. As I was telling Josh earlier, I'm glad we figured out the time difference between Australia and New York. It's great. He's here, I'm here. Everybody who's watching is here. So I'm glad to have you, Josh. Now, I know probably everybody watching knows who you are and what shows you've done, but could you tell us a little bit more about what you've done as a performer? What shows you've done? What I know you've done some work in the UK and Australia. So just maybe like some favorite roles of yours, some favorite works that you've done.
Yeah, sure. I guess some of my favorite experiences, other than obviously playing the Phantom in London, um, I had a great time doing Hairspray on a UK tour as well, a number of years ago. Playing Tony in West Side Story as like a first lead role across Australia for a year was pretty magic, and certainly thrown into the fire there as a first lead role. Um, Gus in Cats was lots of fun. I found Jerry Goffin in Beautiful to be a really important and challenging journey as an actor, but had a good time. And then things like the last 5 years and Light in the Piazza, great experiences, Children of Eden. Yeah, I've had a really fortunate run as a musical theatre artist, I must say.
Oh, you did the last 5 years. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that experience? Because as a more like classically trained singer myself too, I find that contemporary stuff sometimes is a challenge. It's like, oh, I'm trying to sound like I'm not an opera singer, but sometimes that's a challenge. How did you find that? Because it's like a more modern style.
It's interesting. I didn't always sort of have classical chops. So I came into singing pretty late in my life as a sort of 17-year-old. And so when I was studying at uni a million years ago at college, that show had just sort of come out, and so we were, all the girls were singing "Still Hurting," and all the guys wanted to sing, "Shik's the Goddess" and "Moving Too Fast." So like I was always playing around with that material, and Children of Eden's contemporary, Hairspray's quite contemporary. I've sort of had this, certainly Beautiful is too. I've had this ability over the years to sort of be a bit of a vocal chameleon. I think that started with my time in the 10 tenors prior to doing musical theatre, where our repertoire ranged from sort of like Queen to the Bee Gees to, modern and older pop stuff to really, really operatic classical stuff. And you just had to be able to play around with your vocal technique and your placement in order to make a variety of sounds. So I wasn't really thinking too much about the vocals on last 5 years. It was more about the portrayal of the man Jamie and all his stuff, all his flaws and pros and cons.
Now, I just want to give a quick shout out to, well, everybody obviously who's watching, but David Watts is saying, "Love you, Josh. Such an incredible masterpiece of a human being." Uh, I love how the stream is starting off on a positive note. So, speaking of human being, uh, Josh, since for those of you watching, Josh and I talked about this a little bit before we started the stream. Um, for those who are not actors, those people sometimes see actors as, oh, you always act. That's what you do. Your life is acting. And I guess not everybody thinks of actors as people who also have other things that they do, hobbies, because acting is our job. And then we also have hobbies other than acting. So, speaking of human beings, could you let us know? So, as a human being, what are some of the things you love to do? What do you do? Or maybe also some of the things that helped you deal with the whole pandemic situation, theaters being shut down. So anything you're able to share with us?
Yeah, really good question. Firstly, I'd say that I think we do spend a lot of our time as human doings and not so much as human beings, whether that's for the sake of aspiration, the sake of distraction, or just to pay the bills sometimes. But I think when we spend time going inward with ourselves and really getting an understanding of who we are as human beings, we develop sort of a greater understanding of what I would say unconditional I ams, i.e. things that I am or that you are, or whoever's watching, are as human beings beyond the identifications of all the things you do. If I said, I'm the Phantom of the Opera, well, that's conditional on playing the role or COVID or whatever. So, we can't be in a position where if I'm not playing the Phantom, I'm nothing. No, so that our self-worth is determined beyond conditional things. So I would say that as a human being, I'm very passionate. I'm very joyous. I'm very cheeky, extremely loving, and certainly quite affectionate. So they would be some of the things that I am. I'm also quite a deep thinker, and I love to explore things beyond the sort of normal and ordinary natures of the world that we live in. And in conversation, I like to take things to deeper levels and levels of lots of colours and shades and subjectivities and feelings and emotions. And I think that I get to uphold that purpose as an actor, because that's really what we're doing. And as a singer, go into the depths of our souls and hearts to portray some sort of deeper meaning. And certainly as a meditation teacher, I get to explore that a lot and hope that those around me get to experience that too. That's what I wish for the world. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I saw the postings about your meditation. Could you, for those who don't know that you do that, could you let us know on how one could join? Is this something you do online, or is it also in person when when COVID lets you?
Yeah, so certainly in person when COVID lets me, but I found that this has been COVID has been a great opportunity to share meditation around the world, because Zoom is the great enabler. Yeah, I'd hate it if they'd lock down Zoom. That'd be a real killer. So each Sunday at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, during the Sydney lockdown, which we're in now, I offer a free meditation, guided meditation for 20 minutes, mindfulness meditation. I know that, as I said in the post yesterday about it, I know that it won't give you your job back or stop the rate of infection or pay for that bill, but I know that it will reduce your anxieties, your coping mechanisms to deal with it, reduce stress, get you out of fight or flight, build up your resilience, and connect with other hearts and souls from all around the world. And I think that's something that as humans we're really missing. We are a tactile, connecting species. We're not just lone wolves. So I found this an opportunity for people all around the world to connect together and in something that brings people a lot of peace. So that's what I offer every Sunday, 5 o'clock Aussie time for free. The link is in my bio on my Instagram. And further to that, I run courses in what's called the One Giant Mind being technique of meditation. And so I'm a certified meditation teacher. And really, I got into meditation. Some people know I'm very open about this story. After having a lot of performance anxiety sort of midway through my career, which led to a lot of panic attacks, high stress, a relationship that was breaking down at the time. And I just couldn't operate sustainably for the rest of my life with that level of stress. And so I found meditation, and it's really been a lifesaver for me in terms of my mental and emotional, spiritual health. And so from there, I decided that I needed to train to become a teacher, because I know that if I have suffering, I'm not the only person in the world sakes, it has suffering. We all, as a human species, suffer to some degree, and the suffering of the mind is something that I want to help people deal with. So now more than ever, I think we're in an absolute mental health pandemic all around the world. And so if I can be of some help to that, whether it's a free meditation on a Sunday or taking up the course with me to have a daily practice of meditation that you're really strong with, then that's what I'm able to offer. And I feel like it's a part of my greater purpose, and I feel a great service by doing that.
Well, thank you so much for offering that. I feel like you're right. It's something that a lot of people need these days.
Yeah.
As much as I guess there are some positive things about the lockdown, that, you know, people got to spend more time with family, got to slow down a little more. But also there's this big negative side that people are just like, I don't know what to do with my life. Everything's closed down. I don't have any work. So it's just so important to, you know, take care of your body and your mind, obviously. So
yeah, the outer world is so chaotic at the moment, but we can't control that, but we can do some work on our inner world and what goes on within ourselves. Exactly. And it's great that I think you mentioned some of the things about, you know, lockdowns and COVID has been awful in lots of ways, especially in the things that we love to do in our lives. But it has been beautiful with, you know, reconnecting, I guess, to what we've all talked about at some point during this time, reconnecting to what's truly important to us, which is, friends, family, community when you can, nature. So I hope that we do learn some lessons out of all of this, that we can't just do in our lives. We also need to be, and maybe off the back of this, we have a greater balance in our life, because I think we were all boarding to some degree this, you know, bullet train in our lives to who knows where, but it was going very, very fast, and we all had to win. We all had to get there. There was this sort of aspirational thing, which is great to have big, big dreams, but I think if the dreams don't have integrity or a deeper purpose, then we're just boarding a train to a lack of fulfillment in the end. So maybe hopping off the train for a bit is positive for us too.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. As you were talking, I saw some of the comments, and I love how supportive David is. David, oh, okay, well, let me just read the comment. We just need some positivity, you know. So David saying, seen the incredible production both of Cats and Hairspray. What an incredible experience. Nothing beats The Phantom by far, and having the awesome actor, singer, and overall genuine down-to-earth guy with one of the best voices I've ever heard. Never stop singing, Josh. Myself and the whole family are all behind you, buddy.
Oh, thank you, Dave. That's beautiful. I don't think I will ever stop singing until the day I die. I really don't. It brings me so much joy, and I love to create, and it's my place of creativity and exploration. So there's not really a day goes by that I don't sing. And I'm glad that you still love my voice, because if you were a fly on the wall in my house, you'd be like, shut up, because I never stop. Good luck being my fiance Lottie. She's just hearing show tunes, opera, pop songs, or just constantly all day. I never stop singing. Yeah.
Is your fiance also in the industry or no?
Not in musical theatre. She's a songwriter. She writes a lot of country.
Okay. Well, she's still a creative person then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would argue that she's even more creative than I am. She has the ability to sort of create in many different ways, whether it's craft stuff or just little, what I call schmonzes, just little bits and bobs that she just creates. She's really great with interior design, and she's just has a knack for it. It's even social media stuff, great with graphic design and all of that. So she's a real creative human. She's amazing.
Yeah, because I have some friends whose other halves are not in the creative industry. So sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know, this person doesn't understand how I can sing until midnight or rehearse until whatever. Uh, and so I guess it's sometimes better to have someone who's also creative, so they understand. They're like, yeah, I know you
Yeah,
can be creative any time of the day or night. That's what we
yeah,
do.
yeah. She does understand. She's the world's biggest empath. She feels and understands everything. So she's a great person to have in your corner. Yeah, I feel really, yeah, I love being in her corner too. So yeah, we're a great team.
But you said you have neighbors, right?
Oh, I do have neighbours. Oh yeah,
They might
I
have.
mean, the neighbours, leading up until when Phantom rehearsals were supposed to start, the neighbours had the full one man show 4 or 5 times a week. They they got it from the top. Yeah, they got, and they sometimes they got 3 final layers and a half a dozen music of the nights in one morning. So they yeah, they're the ones who didn't book tickets because they got the one man show.
Yeah, they were like, I've seen
Right
this
there.
performance 15 times already. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah. This guy's literally crawling on the floor of his living room. It's like he's really in this.
Now, do you? I don't know. And I know in New York, there's, or in the U.S., wherever there's theaters, there are areas where actors live. Not because it's like the actors' city or something, but because it's just where rent is cheaper and it's closer to the auditions or closer to the big theaters. Is that a thing in Australia too, or can your neighbors be like business people trying to work from home and you're like belting out?
Oh no, I think it's a little different here. Yeah, I guess. No, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. I'm in Sydney at the moment. I'm originally from Melbourne, but we're living in Sydney now. We came up early for Phantom, and now we're just staying. Also, we're in a lockdown and can't get home without an exemption, but we don't intend to now, really. Um, and we live in Bondi, which is pretty famous and well known as so it's like beach culture area. So we're just awe-stricken by the magnificence of nature on a day-to-day basis. We might go down to the coast and which is a few minute walk away and watch a dozen dolphins playing or whales flipping their tails and glorious sunsets and sunrises and just things that just magic moments that certainly put you in a state of being. You can't be anywhere else. You're not thinking about anything else other than the beauty of the magnificence of the world when you're there and you're not thinking about lockdown. So we're really grateful and it's a fortunate place to be.
Yeah, I feel like nature walks are literally the best. We've been doing a bunch during the lockdowns, and it's nothing better than like the beach and nobody on the beach, and then you're just walking by, listening to the waves and the birds, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it takes you back to what's I think really really important.
Hmm.
So I think we all desire or want to have a symbiotic relationship with nature, but sometimes life and the doings get in the way of nature. And I think nature can teach us a lot. The wilderness and the wild teaches us a lot. And yeah, so this is as I keep saying, one of the positives of lockdown is re-establishing our connection with the world in another way. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, this thing that we've spent a lot of time destroying, now we're reconnecting with. So
Right? Yeah,
we'll have greater appreciation for it.
exactly. Now, before we go on to the next question, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jody Lee, who said, "Beautiful man and sending positive vibes. Always looking forward to seeing him in Phantom." So you've got quite a few fans watching today, which means Phantom has got to be on stage. You can't disappoint people, right? So COVID has got to go. We got to get back in the theaters. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's got to go, or we've got to find a a solution to it. I mean,
Yeah.
vaccines are one of them, and I think there'll be multiple other solutions that hopefully, you know, great and creative minds come up with. But we do need theatre, and certainly Phantom. Like, we need all theatre, but Phantom is a really special show, and it's so loved because it's so bloody brilliant. You know, whether it's the brilliant original or the brilliant other versions, it is a brilliant show to witness. It's a magic 2.5 hours for everyone who gets to be in that audience, and certainly it's of all the roles to play, there's nothing more challenging or fulfilling than the task of the man in the mask. It's I just love it in every way. It's I never stop exploring the depths of him, which is great. Every night or day when you go out there, you feel like you're on a journey of exploration, and then it's vocally challenging enough to always, you know, strive to just be 1% better every day. So, you know, there's it's not one of those roles where I think you ever just, like, you know, can just relax in a way of, not relax is actually the wrong word, you know, rest on your laurels. Yeah, it's great. Bloody love it.
Now, did you always want to, as an actor, did you always want to play Phantom? Was that one of your dream roles?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the dream role from the get-go. It was one of the first, you know, that Phantom and Les Mis were the shows that I was smitten by as a teenager, and like so many people.
Oh yeah.
Because they just do something to us, and so yeah, playing the Phantom was always the big dream, and I still have unfinished business with it. That's how I feel. There's a part of my spirit that needs to explore that further. So although I you know, acknowledge and surrender the fact that I can't have it now, right in this moment, I do hope for more moments of it, because I've got stuff in me that needs to come out, creative juices that need to flow within the man.
Tell me about it. Right.
Yeah. Sure, you feel the same way, you know.
Now, how long do shows usually run in Australia versus the West and versus a tour? Tours usually sometimes could be like 6 months to 12 months, right? Or is it different in?
Yeah, it's so different. Surely, what is fact is that we don't have things that run for 34 years. You know, we just don't have the market or the tourism for that. But you know, some shows are more open-ended. You know, like Harry Potter and Hamilton. You know, might end up doing multiple years. I know Wicked did years. Phantom, when it first ran here, I think did 5 years, but in the 90s. But this production of Phantom was a limited season of 9 weeks at the Opera House, and then 12 weeks or so in Melbourne. So pretty short run, maybe 7 months all up for us in terms of work with rehearsals. So who knows? Maybe they'll get some, when they decide to put it on again after postponement. They might pick up longer seasons or seasons in other cities, or who knows? I really don't. But what I do know is that people are desperate to see theatre here, and that's why, part of the reason why it's sold out so quickly.
Yeah, hopefully it'll open. You guys are now hoping to do it in 2022, right? That's
Yeah.
the new.
There's no set dates for that.
Yeah.
So we just wait in anticipation for when that may be. And I hope to have an announcement really soon, because I know that people have their tickets on hold. That there was, you know, I think they announced it was over $20 million worth of ticket sales. So
Wow.
I can't imagine they'd want to just be refunding them. They'd be doing everything.
That'd take a while.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of actors who are still aspiring actors that maybe want to play Phantom one day want to know, how did you get started? How did you get to the point where you're now playing Phantom?
Yeah. A lot of dreaming, a lot of aspiration,
Mhm.
uh, and I guess a lot of hard work and patience, you know, just time. And I had a sort of, yeah, a really sort of deep obsession with playing this role for a long time. And so I was just constantly practicing it. I was constantly putting myself in pressure situations to sing music of the night, whether it was a concert or a corporate gig, or, you know, just making myself really fluent with how that song feels to perform and how far I could go with it. So that in the auditions, you know, it wasn't my first time at a rodeo. You know, it was I'd sung the song countless times in front of, you know, thousands of people, because ultimately the audition for Phantom centers a lot around that song, being able to nail that song. And so, yeah, I just bit by bit, time, effort. I think there's a lot to be said for just continuing to practice, and not be in a hurry, be impatient in a way, but also in that you want to make things happen, but also have the patience of working that sort of Kaizen Japanese theory of just being 1% better each day. Just slowly. We all want to win and we all want to get there, which is understandable. I know how that feels. I spent most of my 20s like that. But time and patience, work ethic, diligence, practice, yeah, also important.
Yeah, I think definitely being prepared, that you mentioned practice and practice and practice, because when the time comes, you don't want to be like, oh, I don't really know this song and I want to
Yeah,
play
total
Phantom.
preparation. And my preparation for the auditions wasn't just to learn what was on the auditions. I learned the entire score note perfect. Like, I knew where every crotchet was. Some of that I think I've forgotten in terms of playing the role now for a period of time, and then having time since I've played it. And I guess as you go into the role, you start exploring things, and note values change, and you don't sing it identical to the score. Things are open for interpretation stuff. But I was very adamant that I wanted to learn it almost like an opera singer, in that I know this role musically back to front. And then I explored options as the actor in terms of my interpretation. Was given options by the creative team within the audition period and the rehearsal room and continuing on. But to have a strong foundation where they're not going, no, that note's actually that. No, you need to sing that for this value. You know, I know this whole score off by heart. So that took a lot of time. You know, that's why I said it was an obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I kind of do that too. Well, I used to, before COVID. I'm like, okay, I want to play these roles. So I used to learn the whole score for all the roles. But then I was like, there are way too many roles that I want to play. Maybe I should just focus on one. So I don't know. For me, it was like, I wish I just had one thing, one goal, and that's it. But I'm like, oh, what about this show? What about that show? What about this role? There's so
Yeah,
many
and I have
shows.
that too. You know, really want to play Billy and Carousel. I'd love to do Jekyll and Hyde. I'd love to do Les Mis. I have, you know, multiple other roles that I want to play, but nothing at, that was as strong as
Mm-hmm.
the Phantom that time. And that may change again. You know, maybe after a period of more time playing it, I'll have okay. Um, I, my spirit is full now. My heart's full. I've done this for enough. I need to move on to something else, and then I'll probably miss it and want to come back to it. You know, but I'm 35 now. I think there's, you know, still a lot of time to play the Phantom. Yeah, I think 35 is probably on the younger end of the scale for Phantom.
Yeah, I feel like Phantom doesn't really have an age range. He probably can't be really in his 20s, but he like you could be like 60 playing him for for all I care. Like nobody really knows how old
I'm
Phantom.
not, I'm not such a big fan of the sort of 60-year-old vibe, but I think it gets a little bit like daddy issues and um,
Oh yeah, we forget that Christine is supposed to be 18 or something, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
that's
bit creepy. Yeah. I sort of like 30s, 40s, early 50s. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, especially depending on how they cast Christine. If they cast an actual 18-year-old to play the role, yeah, it's kind of weird. Even if the
Yeah,
Phantom is 35, it's like okay, it's
yeah. Well, they don't know. It's normally you got to have such vocal chops. Normally someone in their 20s, maybe 30s. So yeah. Anyway, I've got time, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can play the role, come back to it like 5 years later, no problem. And it's such a popular show that you'll probably have the chance to do it again. It's not
Yeah,
like it's a show that almost never gets done.
yeah. I think that's true. So yeah.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Jekyll and Hyde, I don't understand why that show doesn't get done that much.
I think
It's
it's a tough beast to put on. It's maybe more popular within the music theatre community than it is within the general public
yeah,
in terms of how known it is. And also, I think it maybe suffers from a book that's not as strong as its score.
mm, I guess. Yeah, maybe you're right because Phantom of the Opera is so famous, and Les Mis is also so famous that people just the name gets people to buy tickets. But Jekyll and Hyde, it's like, but the score is so beautiful. Like I wish
The
I had
score
the chance to audition for that show, but nobody does it. It's like, come on,
yeah, the
someone
score
do
is
it,
beautiful.
please.
Yeah. Maybe not as strong as Les Mis or Phantom, but it's got its really
Oh
beautiful
yeah,
moments and
oh
some
yeah,
great 11 o'clock numbers. Yeah.
yeah. And to play Jekyll and Hyde is just, that
That'd
role
be a
is,
big
yeah. Like
great.
it'd be, I bet, so challenging as an actor to do something
Yeah.
like that. Not just vocally, but just to be in the moment and just to be that character. It's just
Mm.
like,
I got asked in a podcast interview the other day, how do you choose your goals? How do you choose something to aspire to? And I always say, it's got to be something that scares me a bit. Jekyll and Hyde scares me a bit. So that's why I'd like to do it.
yeah, I agree with that. I do that too sometimes. I'm like, this is probably way too hard of a goal, but let's risk it. We'll risk it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
When it's way too hard, I won't go for it. Like I don't have any intention of like trying to become, lyric tenory enough to
Yeah.
play Rodolfo or something, a La Boheme, or that's just not me. You got to also know it's not me. But in the confines of what I know is suited to me, I want it to scare me just enough.
Yeah. And I mean, have you ever done any opera at all? Or because I know you do classical crossover.
Yeah. I have. In fact, the first production I ever did was a production of Madame Butterfly in
Oh, very good.
Australia, and had a very small role in that. And I probably, yeah, I probably realised that opera's not for me, but operetta definitely. Some like some of the lighter things, and Gilbert and Sullivan's and things like that would be things to explore at some time. But I sort of feel like the modern day version of those things is Rodgers and Hammerstein and the Golden Age, and so that's why I look at a show like Carousel and go, oh yeah, give that to me any day.
Yeah, all the golden age slash
Yeah,
classical stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and I like I'll bring out the Mario Lanza songbook often and get stuck into that. That really
Yeah.
suits my voice. That sort of that level of tenorizing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I love singing that stuff. So I think I was singing All the Things You Are yesterday from Very Warm for May, which is a sort of 40s musical, beautiful song, and Lanza does a great version of it. So I was exploring that, and yeah, just bring out some old repertoire, things that maybe might surface themselves on a
Yeah.
new album at some point. Who knows?
Now, when you said new album, I just have to ask: do you have any projects that you either are planning to do or in progress right now? Maybe some recordings that you're doing, or anything else you're working on that people should look out for in the
Yeah.
near future.
Look, I was about to do some recording just prior to Phantom rehearsal starting, but unfortunately, due to the COVID situation, I was unable to do that. So I'm definitely looking at doing some recording. So I don't want to say too much there, but yeah, that is definitely a strong plan. I think I've given away enough there. And I'm also working at the beginnings of a podcast series, which music theatre fans will drool over if it gets over the line. So let's hope that the powers that be at the the various podcast networks like the idea as much as the people closest to me and my management team and everyone around me seems to feel about it. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of staying tuned, you guys can follow Josh on Instagram and Facebook, and he's got a website. All that information will be available on the end screen after the stream ends. So if you're not following him already, you can find him there, or you can just Google Josh Piterman, and you'll find all the info there as well.
Instagram's the easiest part, though. That's where I've sort of spent most of that's the central hub for me. Everyone has their thing. Instagram's my one.
Yeah, I feel like Instagram is becoming more and more popular for artists because you can share daily things. Not like on Facebook, it's kind of like, okay, you share something once a month maybe, but on Instagram you can be like, oh, here's
Facebook's so vast. There's so many things.
Yeah.
It's like if Facebook sort of is almost too complicated for me now. Like Instagram's nice and easy and structured, and I think some people even find TikTok even more easy now. I'm not such a TikToker, but
yeah, I've got TikTok, but I don't know, for me, there are just way too many social media platforms. I'm like, I can't possibly post everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, here, give me one platform. If you want to follow me there, here, I'll post all my stuff there, and it's there if you want to see it.
Yeah, that's why I say Instagram.
Yeah. Now, we have about 25 minutes left from our stream. So for all those of you watching, if you have any questions for Josh, put them down in comments. Or, of course, you can private message this page as well if you'd like. I see a few messages from people right now, so we'll get to those questions for sure. But if you have a question, make sure to put it down in comments as soon as you can so we get to it. Now, Josh, we promised actors that you'd give some word of advice, and I know you did already with the preparation and everything, but is there anything else that you would say, I don't know, audition wise, or something that helped you in your career that you would say, do this and it'll help you get where you want to be?
Yeah. I think it comes down to something I was sort of saying earlier, which was about we spend a lot of time in the doing and a lot of time focusing on the outside world. What is happening outside? Like, who are we competing against? Who else is going for that show? What's happening in the world out there? And not a lot of time on our inside world. Ultimately, what sets you apart in an audition room is what you bring to the role. And when we're obsessing over all the external stuff, we're limiting our ability and our time and our resources to access what's in us. So know that it's your path. It's no one else's path. So there's no need to compete with anyone else. You're not in competition. You're in competition with yourself. So spend time with yourself. How are you going to get to know yourself more? What tools and resources can you bring yourself to understand yourself more, the depths of yourself more? Because ultimately, the more you go into yourself and the more life experiences you have, the more things you have to draw upon to interpret that script or that song to make it uniquely yours and to separate you from the crowds. And you can't control what anyone else does. And the outcome of any situation, as my mindset coach said to me prior, is your A game. So A times B. B is everything you can't control. And A times B equals result. So you can't control what anyone else is doing. You can't control what anyone else thinks of you, but you can control your skill set and your mindset, your A game. The definition of anxiety is spending your time focusing on B, that with which you can't control, and trying to control it. So don't waste your time there. Spend it on your skill set and your mindset.
Yeah, good advice. Spend that time on learning the score to the show you want to be in, right?
Yeah.
We've got better things to do. Now, since we were talking about Phantom so much, and I see a lot of comments and messages about Phantom, so I think we have a lot of Phantom fans watching here today. Now,
Right.
for those of you watching, we'd love to find out more about you. Since everybody loves Phantom of the Opera, can you guys tell us what your favorite song is? Not necessarily a song sung by Phantom, but could also be any song from the show. I'm just curious to know because I personally have my favorites, and I know some other people have told me their favorites, and I'm like, oh, really? That's weird. I like this song better. So those of you watching, let us know in comments. Would love to know, and then we'll read out comments and see what people say. All right, Josh, we had a question uh, oh well, actually a few people asked this question, but let me read what David here said. Um, David's saying, could you talk about more about auditioning in Australia versus auditioning in the UK? As an American actor, I wonder what that process is like. And this was on our discussion list for today anyway, because I know the audition process is quite different, at least from Australia versus the US. So if you could, I guess, guide us through from the beginning when you audition for a show to the end, I think that people would love to know how that process works.
Yeah, really good question. I've actually auditioned in the States too, um, in a unique way. 2012, I think it was, and unfortunately, I had to turn down the job. Oh, silly Josh. Anyway,
Is it a secret which job it was?
no, yeah, it was to play Tony in a world tour of West Side Story, and I opted to do something else and regret that decision because the show that I chose to do closed in about 6 weeks. So I turned down about 21 months of playing Tony around the globe. Um,
And touring the world, right?
yeah. So yeah, yeah. Anyway, if I'd done that, maybe I wouldn't be where I am right now. So. Look, I must say that US experience was very unique. It was just myself, the pianist, the casting director, sing us Maria, and do a scene, and that was it. I'd already played the role before; they were aware of who I am. So, the differences in Australia and the UK, I guess in the UK, I've auditioned for shows that have been running for a while, or the production is a remounted production of something that's already done with a creative team that have already done it. And there's an awareness around what is required, a very strong idea of what is required and or what is required so that the powers that be enjoy this person's performance to the utmost. So for my 3 or 4 Phantom auditions, it was, how do we get Josh ready so as much as we can so that Sir Cameron and Lord Andrew enjoy his performance of the Phantom in this particular scenario as much as possible. So I could sense that there is a way that they want you to perceive the role in it, and how they need it to be sung within your voice and within the person that you are or that I am. In Australia, the audition process is sometimes far more protracted. It's like, let's get a sense of who's around at the moment for this role. So I remember when I did Beautiful, my first round of auditions was mid-2016 for a show that wasn't actually starting rehearsals, I don't believe, till August 2017. So 13 months before the show's actually up and running, I'm doing my first audition, which was with some associates to get a sense who's in the mix, who's in the pool for this. 6 months later, I have my next callbacks and subsequent callbacks and finals. So it's a very protracted, very different. And then find out I'm getting cast in January for a show that doesn't start for another 7 months into rehearsals. So that's like that, and that happens a lot, this sort of protractedness of auditions. So to get the flow of your audition, to go, to do the first one and go, great, I'm in the room again in 3 days' time. Sometimes you're like, sorry, I forget what I did with this 6 months ago. What did I bring to this role 6 months ago in this audition, you know. So that's one of the major differences I would say. Ultimately, in terms of establishing quality of talent and the quality of casting and quality of the creatives, there's no difference in any part of the world, I don't think. You know, some of the performers that I've got to perform with in the UK and Australia, the quality of them is on a par. Quality of creatives and everyone else is on a par. There is immense talent all over the world, and I think we know that. And there's differences, and there's things that are just pretty much identical. Most things are pretty much identical.
Yeah, when I was talking to Guy Simpson, who, for those of you watching who don't know, Guy is also in Australia doing Australian auditions, and he worked on Phantom and, well, a bunch of other shows. And he said he was actually very surprised to know that in New York, when you come into the initial auditions where they're trying to see who's around, like you said, the initial audition, let's see who's around and see who we want to see more. You get to only sing 32 bars at most, so about 1 minute worth of a song. So you have to prepare your audition cut, and then also, Guy was surprised that we had like 30 different cuts to choose from, because you need one for each decade, starting from the 1900s. If they're doing something, if they're doing like Kurt Weill, you need a Kurt Weill song. If they're doing, Golden Age, you need a Golden Age song. You can't just sing something modern that kind of sounds like Golden Age. It has to be Golden Age. There's apparently in Australia, you guys only have like five audition songs, and you get to sing the whole song, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. I'm in a weird position now that I haven't really auditioned with
like initial
with
auditions.
My own piece for quite some time, yeah. Actually. Maybe since I did Cats, maybe 6 years or something. Mm-hmm. So, but I am aware that that's how things work on Broadway. We have less humans to choose from and more time to spend with those humans. Yeah. So I understand how, they just got to go, okay, who's out there? Who's out there? Okay, let's get these 500 people down to 50 people, all right, 100 people. All right, we've only got 1 minute with you. Bam, bam, bam. I mean, wow, that's so brutal. But I guess I felt like that a little bit at the start of my career. It was like that. You just go in there, sing your best, minute of Corner of the Sky, and see if it, keep throwing the darts on the board, see which one sticks, type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point for actors who are just starting out. I guess they have to go to those initial auditions, and once you get an agent, maybe the agent will get you in the room, and then you can sing. Once you also get, you're well known enough that people know your work, that they're like, okay, we think he's going to be right. Get him to sing Music of the Night, and just get him right away to the first call exactly. Back versus the initial audition.
And there's benefits in that, but there's also drawbacks, because people might go, for me, they go, oh, he's a really legit crossover guy. Mm-hmm. He's very Phantom. He might be good for Jekyll and Hyde or Les Mis or yeah. Carousel. I'm not gonna see him for that production of Legally Blonde. We don't need to see him. He's not right for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas I'm going, hey, I want to go in the room. I want to give Warner my best crack. But I don't. It's like, we know who you are. We know what you do. Mm-hmm. It's not this. So there's benefits and drawbacks. I'd say for me, the benefits clearly outweigh the drawbacks. So I don't complain.
Yeah.
As I said at the start, my career has been met with immense fortune, and I couldn't be more grateful for where it is, even in a pandemic. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's nice to sometimes play roles that are not your usual vocal stuff that you sing, but at the same time, if they keep giving you roles in the more classical style, then you're like, okay, I'll take it, it's fine, unless you have that dream role that's more contemporary that you want to sing, in which case could you potentially just go to the open calls, the initial calls, and just be like, okay, I want to show you guys what I can do, because I know you won't call me based on
I guess it could, but I just know there's people who do that better than me. you know,
Yeah.
and you can't, you can't, not everyone who plays, football also can swim and,
Exactly.
also is a great cyclist and then does javelin part time. We all want to play the sport, but we can't play every component of the sport brilliantly, and that's cool. Knowing your thing is great, but sometimes can take a decade to really work out what your thing is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they say sometimes they say, "Oh, specialize in one thing and just do that." Sometimes they're like, "No, you gotta, you know, belt and you gotta do classical and you gotta do crossover and you gotta do this and that and you have to do everything." So it's like, what do I do? You know?
I think we got to do what your heart draws you to.
Yeah.
That's why your inside world is so important. It's not about what they want and what they need and what you think they want from you. It's like,
yeah,
this is about me too and about my journey. I'm not living for everyone else. I'm on my deathbed with my memories. So what do I want to pursue in my life? What's my purpose and what makes my heart sing? And for me, it is things in a more legit classical crossover style of musical theatre, and I'm very happy in that place.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm also more of classical. Nothing against the modern stuff, but I don't know. I just love like the classical music and classical sound. For me, it's just like wow, that's what I love.
Yeah.
Although I gotta admit there are a few belty songs that sometimes when you're feeling it, you're like I just want to belt it out, especially during some like power ballad or something. During COVID times, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna sing "I Dream a Dream" from Les Mis right now, and
I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna sing "I Had Nothing" by Whitney Houston.
that's a good one. Okay, so we are almost out of time. So let me ask you a couple questions I see here in comments. Jody is asking, what is your least favorite role you have played? And I hope your answer doesn't offend any any composers here, but
my least favorite role.
Or maybe a role that you like the role that whatever role you played when your show closed and you could have played Tony in the
I had a
World
lot
Tour.
of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun. That was An Officer and a Gentleman, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I actually think it was the Caliph in Kismet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just wasn't my favorite experience. There we go. That's probably the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have roles that that were like, I don't know, I took the job, but I'm not sure if it was the right role for me. Like I did it, but whatever, I won't do it again.
The thing maybe the role wasn't for me at the time, and maybe all sorts of things, and a lot of it had to do with where I was at too, as an artist and whatever else. But what I did love about that experience is the company I got to do it for. So that was like, it's a great company, and so love getting to work with them. Anyway, yeah.
All right, next we have David is asking, Josh, are you going to do us all a little song or a little taste of your favorite piece of the Phantom? LOL, no pressure. Well, I have to say that I promised Josh there would be no singing because I don't know about you, Josh, but from my experience with performing on Zoom, it never like sound clips. It just does not sound good. So I don't know. Video performances would try to stay away from them. So hopefully, once Phantom opens in 2022, you can get the full experience of Josh's live performance.
But if you do want a personalized song or message, you can always go to my Cameo, and the link for that is in my bio and Instagram. You can grab yourself a personalized version of whatever song you choose, and I've sung everything from Phantom to Fleetwood Mac for people. So that's the place for little personalized songs. Thank you very much.
Oh, nice! I didn't know you were on Cameo. That is getting super famous. The Cameo. I think there's a few I want to say apps, but I guess services like that where different celebrities do things, anything from saying happy birthday to singing a song of their choice.
Oh my God, I've done parodies of music of the night, wishing people happy birthday, like changing the lyrics. I've done all sorts of things on Cameo. I've kept my clothes on, thankfully. Yeah, Cameo has been great for doing really fun stuff. And I like to go away, like when people go, can you do a birthday message to this person in the tune to the Phantom of the Opera, or All I Ask of You, or Music of the Night, whatever. And I like to go away and like work out the lyrics of how I'm going to do it. I actually have a lot of fun doing it. So if people do want that for any personalized songs or messages or things like that, that's where to find me.
That's actually so cool. I feel like a lot of those apps and services like that, stemmed from the lockdowns. People are just like, how can we get creative? Oh, here you go. Hire celebrities to do things like this. Gives actors and singers jobs and gets people closer to their.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. And we're out of work, and
Mm-hmm.
I earn my dollars singing and acting. And if you want to support individual artists in this time, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested, head to Josh's Instagram. It's the link is on Instagram, right? Or
yeah. So if you just hit my link tree in my bio,
okay,
scroll down. There's a thing for that. So
all right, awesome. So now you guys know where to find Josh if you want a little personalized song. Now, do they do like face-to-face Zoom sessions as well on Cameo, or was it some other service that I'm thinking of? Because I think there's like a thing where on your birthday, a celebrity calls you and they wish happy birthday, and it's like a 5 to 15 minute thing, and you talk to them. I guess it's probably not Cameo.
No, I think there is similar. Might be something similar in Cameo. Don't quote me, but there's a bunch of different services. There's like a text messaging service. There's all sorts of services in there. Maybe about 5 different things. So that could be one of them. So anyway, have a look. I'm 99.9% of the things I've been asked to do in there involve singing a song for someone, and I'm always happy to do that. As I said earlier, it's what I'm singing all day, so I might as well sing you a song.
Always happy to sing.
Always.
Now, David also says your special, talented other half sounds unbelievably incredible. We'll have to check out her stuff.
Yes, she is. She is. So you can find Charlotte Black on Spotify or iTunes, or some good tunes.
Nice. And I think you've I don't know, she tagged on your Instagram posts.
All the time.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
There you go. Okay, because I know I've seen photos of the both of you, but I'm not sure if you tagged her or not. So now you guys know how to follow her as well if you'd like. Follow both artists.
Can't miss her. She's a little blonde Scottish fairy princess.
Of course, she's a princess. And she's got the prince. I feel like. Oh, actually, speaking of the prince, do you find? Well, I don't want to say typecast, but have you been considered for a lot of prince roles? Or including like Tony and like the romantic lead, Marius in Les Mis, stuff like that.
Yeah, I do recall in my last Phantom audition, they actually just gave me the Raoul material and said, "Can you just sing Raoul as well?" And then they weren't interested for me in that regard in the end. But I guess earlier on in my career, more of that. I've tried to do other things since then. I'm really happy to put a prosthetic on and ugly up, all of that. Obviously, Cats was like playing Gus. You got all sorts of stuff on. So I steer away from those things. But I would love to do Into the Woods because that would be fun.
Oh my God, Into the Woods, the what is it? Agony is the funniest song on earth.
Yeah. I'd love to play Cinderella's prince.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Which prince would you choose?
Cinderella's. Because then you get to be the wolf as well, and I love that tune. Yeah.
Yeah, that show's incredible too. It's just. Yeah, it's kind of like all fun and games in the first act, and then it gets so dark. You're like, oh my God,
it's shit weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last question because we're pretty much out of time. Jody asked, who would you love to collaborate with in the future in shows? So I'm assuming that means actors and directors and conductors. I'm guessing.
Yeah. look, directors wise, I really would have loved to have worked with Hal Prince. That would have been really magic, and he's a sad loss to the industry. And ultimately, in terms of collaborations, it's people who I love most. Other actors who I've worked with or haven't worked with, who I just think are just really wonderful and have an existing relationship with. I must say, for those of you who are sort of American and know Megan Pacherno, who plays Christine on Broadway, Megan and I, although we've never met in person, have dealt with the loss of Phantom and have become really close friends over the lockdown period. We're certainly looking for opportunities to work together. She's just a great human. And I actually really love to work with a lot of other Phantoms. I'd love to work with Ben Crawford and Jonathan Rocksmith, and I'd love to work with Killian, and I think there'd be something really cool about, 4 Phantoms from 4 corners of the globe coming together. So, who knows what that would be? 4 Phantoms concert somewhere. Maybe we do it on Jeff Bezos's spacecraft. Get some good use out of that ridiculous thing. So anyway, there's so many people. It's sort of a sort of limitless list, but there's a few ideas that just come to me off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've done.
In terms of producers, always want to work with Michael Castle here in Australia. Michael's an incredible ambassador and just a hugely talented and ambitious man in the arts here, and love him very dearly as a good friend as well. So always want to work with Michael.
Yeah, and I was going to say, speaking of multiple Phantoms coming together, they do that for, didn't they do that? No, the 25th anniversary was Sierra, I think. But
there's lots of Phantoms who came together, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's right. And at the end, it was a few Christines and like 5 different Phantoms, I think. They've done it a few times. So maybe on the 30th anniversary, or
we've done the 30th.
No, we've
40th.
done. Yeah, I'm confused. I'm like, what year is this now?
It'll be the 35th in October, I think, if I'm right. So, but anyway, the 40th. We'll do something for the 40th.
40th, yeah.
I'll still be around it. I'll be 50 for the 50th. So there we go.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
50 and 50, great. All right, so we are out of time, unfortunately. So thank you everybody who watched and asked questions. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. I know there's a bunch of people watching from Australia and some from New York and Canada, and we see all your messages. I apologize for those whose questions and comments I either didn't see or we didn't have time to read or answer. But we'll make sure to read them after the stream is done. And Josh, thank you so much for doing this.
Absolute pleasure. And if you didn't get if you had a burning question that we didn't have time to answer, you can always follow me on Instagram. Send me a DM. There's not a DM that I won't read unless it's abusive. So try not to be abusive. But I always get back to people. So if you did have something, just find me there, and I'll be sure to answer it within a short period of time.
Yes, and thank you for that. I feel like there's at least. I feel like pre-COVID, maybe it was more so that people thought, oh my God, he's a star. I can't possibly, he's not going to respond to my messages. I'm a nobody. But I think COVID has shown us that, actors are all people too. And
they always were.
Yeah, it's like, yes, they do respond to your messages. Yes, they're regular people. And most of them are kind. Although I do agree there are, not so kind actors, but in every industry there are not so kind people. So it's just actors are just like regular people, like anywhere else. So reach out to Josh and follow him if you would like. And of course, hopefully we'll. I probably won't see you guys in 2022 Phantom in Australia because I'll probably be in New York. Although who knows? Maybe I'll get to travel to Australia and see Josh too. But thank you again, Josh, for doing this. And once again, thanks everybody else. If you are interested in seeing more of these streams, and we do these, if you're an actor and interested about in casting things, we do a lot of streams with casting directors. We had one with Tara Rubin just the other day. So follow this page, or I also posted a link, I believe, to the Facebook group. It's in the description of this video. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, you'll be notified about future streams like this. So that's it. We're out of time, and I want to say goodnight to everybody in the U.S. and anybody in the same time zone as New York, and I guess have a great day to everybody in Australia or anywhere that it's morning now. All right, and thanks again, Josh. Bye, everyone.